Good morning and welcome to the February 3rd, 2026 Bethlehem Industrial Development Agency Marketing Committee meeting. We are being live streamed, the Bethlehem Town Hall Room 101, and we always invite the public to join our meetings and to watch online. I am Chris Welch. I'm the chair of the Marketing Committee, and we'll do a quick walk around the table. Who's here? Checking help member.
I'm Jillian Moore.
Georgette Stefan Saltamari, board member.
Brianne Connor, staff to the IDA.
Kate Hedgeman, agency counsel and executive director.
Alexis Carlin, associate at Hedgeman Law Firm.
So we have a quorum, and we'll call the meeting to order at 8:39. So our first item of business is approving the minutes from the June 18th Marketing Committee meeting. Any comments or anyone want to make a motion?
No, I'm happy to motion.
Okay. Second, anybody? Second, okay. All in favor?
Dear Cha-Cha.
Any opposed? All right. So we have a couple of discussion items, and then I think I've got something to throw in here. So the first thing, if we take it out of order, the planning for the Bethlehem Business for Breakfast, we want to do that at Normanside. Is that the
That probably would be good,
You're
yeah,
thinking?
I suppose.
I reached out to them yesterday and left them a message. They weren't open, but we need a date, which I'll work on, and try and get a budget for it so we can get that in front of the next full meeting.
Mhm.
Does that sound like a plan?
What I would suggest is March is our big annual meeting
Right.
and all that stuff. April is, not only is it budget season, tax season, there's a break in there, like
School
we
break.
probably would be looking at May, I would think. For May and June, somewhere's around there, for either of those events.
And we were going to invite some town board people and that crew as well. Anybody else we want to invite?
Well, I think there's two different events. There's the town boards event.
Yeah.
Where we pull
The
everybody.
information
Yeah,
section,
and I mean,
right.
we could do that even here, in this room or whatever, but I think we need a date and a location for that. And then we need a date and a location for, and it occurred to me this morning, like, I don't want to step on the chamber's toes. We certainly should involve them, but, we should call it, I put business for breakfast just for lack of a better title. So we should call it something. And to really just talk about, how we hope to support to attract and retain business in the town. And I think it should be open to developers, it should be open to business, it should be open to anybody, our elected officials certainly if they want.
So we want to, the event that we talked about for last fall that we didn't get to, we were talking about having it be sort of a tighter 30 to 40 member.
Mhm.
This would be a larger number.
For the
potentially.
business, yeah. And I mean, I think part of it is too, we really should have a database. And so if we can get people to register and sign up and collect information that way, I think it's, plus that helps us have emails and things to send our newsletter to and so on and so forth.
Do we have a CRM of any sort? Or?
Not yet. I'm
Okay.
getting quotes for a CRM right now.
Yeah, so Victoria, Brianne and I met, and we'll kind of fill you in, I think, on everything that we discussed. But I think we wanted to walk away today with concrete, like dates and, so for the town board, I think that's the boards, that's easier. Like we can, let me see.
Yeah, you see that more like after work,
Like a
Yeah.
4 to 6 kind of.
Yeah,
and then the other one is a breakfast.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So like either the first or second week in May for maybe the boards.
Later in that second, like the week, the 6th through the 8th, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, we can take, Rhiannon and I can take the lead on that one if you want and just schedule it and get it here. We'll have to come up with a list of all the
That work for you
the
guys?
board members and all
Mhm.
that. And, I think it's probably good to also invite maybe Joanne Cunningham and our assembly person,
Yeah, the new one.
Scott.
Yeah, the second 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of May were great.
So what do you think? Is it a Wednesday? We're gonna have to look at the calendar, obviously, for the room and stuff, but is it a Wednesday night? Is it a Thursday night? Like what is?
Wednesday nights are town board meetings, so
Okay.
probably a
Wednesday the
Thursday.
6th is not town board meeting.
It's not.
It's because it's every other week.
Oh.
So Wednesday the 6th would be the zoning board if there's any business for them, but it doesn't start till 6. So, yeah, so if we did like a 4 to 6 window on a zoning board night, it would probably be fine.
Just make sure. The 6th could work for me.
Okay. And I mean, I think part of it is maybe one person from the board could talk about like what their role is and, if they want to share anything that's, in front of the board. I had asked Victoria sort of to give like opening remarks of the why we wanted to pull everybody together and, form more of a project team, for lack of a better,
Yeah.
and know what the roles and responsibilities are of all the other boards and who's on them and that kind of a thing. And then we could turn it over to each board and have somebody, talk a little bit. So that's the general gist of what it would be.
Slide deck.
So
Is the state of the town?
it is.
I don't know, we might need one.
Okay.
That's another issue I want to talk about because I really would like to see us fund some IT in here. Because the
Yes.
TV is, it's fine,
Soon.
but yeah, like I want an overhead projector.
Something easy to plug into and use.
Yeah.
So what do we actually need to do to make that happen? Like, do we need to make a motion at the?
No, I think it's just, I think in general, everybody was on board with that anyways. So what we could do is we'll make a list of everybody that needs to be invited. We can put, Melissa can put together a nice email
Oh
invitation.
no, I was talking about the IT.
Yeah, we would have to, because there's no budget for it per se. So we would probably bring it to the full board and, but we want to spec it out first and have a
Right.
number, so.
Okay.
With the study that we've been working on and finalizing, has that been presented to the town, or is it going to be presented to the town, or would that be
That's a
interesting to have
good
boards up
opportunity to
that
present it.
would say, here's what we've been working on and
Yeah,
show
I
some
mean,
of the
the
maps or
site study?
something? Yeah.
yeah, and maybe if we're to that point, we can shed a little light on where we want to go with here with economic development team in particular.
Mhm.
So, all right, well, let's go with May 6th. And then we can kind of put together the deliverables, but it's not a heavy lift for that one. Yeah.
There's no budget for that.
Not really, I mean,
Unless one have some snacks or something.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. All right,
And so for the Bethlehem Business for Breakfast, I reached out to Norman Side. I'll reach out again. We'll get some dates and a budget for, how many do we want to budget for?
I don't know,
Attendees.
40, 30, 40?
Mhm.
Okay.
For breakfast.
Buffet breakfasts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hearings, right? So we'll get some dates from them.
Yeah, either mid-May or
June.
June, beginning of June, yeah.
Not late June.
Right.
Is there an update on the zoning change? Will it happen before this event?
I sure hope so.
So does everyone.
So the planning board has moved it to the town board now.
Okay.
The town board does want to have some additional public meetings for comment and address those comments and then make their decision. So it just depends on when they schedule those, how long they accept comment, and they haven't determined that schedule yet. As soon as they do, I'll let everybody know, because any positive comment to move it forward is really helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because, all the people who are grumpy about something, they show up, but then the people who are like, no, this is good, please do it. We need those voices at the public comment.
Okay. So that's good. We just wanted to kind of nail down, and we got to get that date like soon
For the
for the
yeah.
business, but yeah,
Yeah.
because there's going to need to be some planning for that.
And then the RFP, we had talked about a wide variety of different stuff at the last meeting in terms of doing the cell monitoring and all of that kind of stuff.
So the meeting that we have scheduled with CARP
Yeah.
and I spoke to them a little bit about, in general, what we wanted to do. And they should be able to sort of help us say, here's what you're looking at. We think it's this research and this study. I think they want to hear from us, like what do you want to accomplish? And, I gave them the gist of it, but I think they can certainly help us sort of with that scope of what that is. And I think eventually it's probably a couple RFPs because you have.
There's multiple pieces.
Yeah. So that's next week. I want to get through that. And then we would put out, we would pull some RFPs together. But it's probably a good time maybe for Brianne to talk about a little bit about what we discussed with Victoria. And it does, dovetail into the different RFPs and then kind of get, some feedback on a lot of that. So,
Okay.
yeah, put it all out there.
All right.
No.
So I met with with Victoria and Kate to ask the IDA to support updating some marketing, in particular for sites.
That was, yeah.
So Vista in particular needs a new marketing plan, a new vision, a regrouping around the master plan, what's still available there, what we're really seeking. When site selectors come through ESD or send questions to me, I do not have appropriate materials. I have decade plus old materials that are not what site selectors want to see right now. And so it just makes Vista not attractive and just at the bottom of the pile.
And are they not, so right, if they had a commercial real estate broker, normally they would have some of those pieces.
Right, but now
so
since
they're
it's
not
all
being
split up,
advertised.
because it's not Vista Development Corp in charge of the whole place anymore, the different property owners have different brokers or don't have a broker. And so there's nobody steering that ship.
Mhm.
And then the brokers themselves are a little confused about how it fits into the master plan, what they can really say about the site or not. And so very few of the sites are even out there on commercial real estate databases. They're really not even present out in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
They're not known, except that they're listed as shovel-ready sites on ESD and the county's website.
So is Vista the only property you have that challenge with, or are there others in the city? In the town, sorry.
This is the main one because it is prepped and ready for things to come in. And then what we find out from the site study that is wrapping up right now will be the other sort of group of sites that we may want to also assist the property owner with appropriate marketing for site selectors. So I imagine that out of the 13 sites that were in sort of the final selection, that some of those property owners are going to be excited to move that forward and put that out in the world. Some of them won't want to jump on that. And then we, may be moving forward with Fast New York infrastructure support for some of those sites as well. So, so those are the additional sites. And then, the last one isn't really on us, but is the port site.
Right. Go ahead.
The other piece is the IDA rebrand.
Yes.
So we want to redesign the website, the letterhead, all of that, which kind of leads into some other things. So, so that would be another probably separate RFP, because the first one you're really looking for, a site selector, advertising, like someone who does economic development promotion, whereas the rebrand is more of just a run-of-the-mill marketing. Yeah.
But in terms of Vista, it sounds like stopping the bleeding in terms of being able to give you something that you can put out into the world is very important.
And I think also just kind of getting everybody at the table that now has a piece of that pie, and having everybody on the same page, understanding what the sites can offer and not, what the parameters are within the master plan for Vista, and giving the whole Vista Park a refresh.
Do we have to get the owners of those properties involved in this marketing?
At least nominally, yeah.
You feel confident that's possible?
Yeah.
What do you, what is there a ballpark of what we think the cost would be?
That was my next question.
I don't think we really know yet.
Yeah.
But it's got to be 10, I would think, 10 grand, somewhere around there.
I mean, because I would love to have some drone footage and actual packets per parcel and combinations.
You could do a
parcels.
video.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
And that's what a developer's going to be looking for, is to see all that stuff.
Right.
So from us, just looking for approval to put out an RFP?
Well, I think for the rebrand of the of the IDA, yes, we could do that today. For the Vista marketing plan, I think, if you're all in favor of that. I mean, we don't have to vote necessarily to put out an RFP, but we certainly want the board's direction to do it.
Do we have to then run it by the main board?
No, I think because we had a larger discussion with everyone.
Everybody
people
was
are on
jumping
board.
on.
Okay, what else?
I'm like, which parts do you want me to talk about? I mean, I mentioned earlier a CRM. I've asked the IDA to pay for a CRM for me to use, because I just do not have the tools that I need to have a current business list and to track interest in Bethlehem. My notebooks are they're not cutting it. My notebooks and my spreadsheets. So I've done little demos with 2 different organizations now. I'll have some numbers on that to bring to the next IDA meeting for a request there to get that in place.
So the town does not have a current tracking of all the businesses that are in the town?
No, there's no town requirement for business registration. It's only at the state level, and it's not like there's information sharing. So we really do not have a current list of businesses. We don't even always have we have a current list of property owners because of assessment and property tax, but we don't always have a current list of tenants, especially commercial tenants as they turn over. So I track it through permitting.
Right.
So if someone does a tenant fit up, I go and I meet that tenant and I check in and I update my business list. But you don't always have to put in a tenant fit up if you're not changing the building at all or changing signage. And So there's just a big question mark in certain areas of town about what businesses are actually operating there, what the turnover of that is, what people are doing commercially.
And this comes back to the email that you sent about the newsletter. Because if you have a list of all of the email addresses, it's much easier to say, and then they can understand a little bit more about what we can do. So if you've got a business and you want to work on a project,
Exactly.
so
Our website and social media person, Melissa, had sent me an email and said, give me 5 bullet points of what IDAs do, because she was going to start a campaign. And I mean, that's on my 2,500 email to-do list. So I think, as you work with a firm, they're going to pull out those talking points, and we'll be able to really push it out over a lot of different.
Right.
I happen to like the City of Alexandria's one, because they're much more of a model of like the Alliance or Metroplex, but it's really city specific because they're a huge city. But I like the way that they had their department reports, different business stuff going on in the community, and you could put a lot of different things for that. So, all right.
And I've been looking at that kind of messaging, like looking at other towns and counties and how they communicate, what kinds of things that they communicate to the public about their economic development and how they do it. And so I'm getting a good idea of what we might want to do. And I've done some content planning and development for the quarterly economic development newsletters. I write a monthly column in the town newsletter right now called Bethlehem Buzz. I've been doing that since July last year. So
I didn't realize the town had a newsletter.
I know. The readership on it is really small, and people don't even know how to sign in. And
well, we could even promote that, too, all in the same,
And I think, related to our efforts, because it connects, the town recently brought in a marketing firm, communications firm, to help them, because there is not a position at the town that is responsible for communications and marketing. And so that organization is trying to get better readership on the newsletter and looking at all of our dead social media channels and trying to organize it all and put it all together and put it under one umbrella and have some consistent messaging and have some place that people know to go look for information for Bethlehem. Right now it's just really diffuse. And so, there's a lot of different places that say a lot of different things, and they're not very deep. And it needs to get condensed and get deeper. And that will help our messaging as well when that is cleaned up.
Okay. What else?
Those
are the small ones.
I mean, the other point of conversation that I've been bringing up to them is my interest in an LDC for our area, because I feel like there is a real gap in directing interested parties and funding towards a smaller business growth kind of environment. The county does what the county does, and it's bigger. It's their grant and loan programs are $50,000+ and then there's the few character sort of programs out there, and we do our micro enterprise program, but there's sort of a gap between there, and that's kind of where a lot of the businesses in Bethlehem live, and then there's just not great support for them. And I've been looking at other communities that are of a similar size and seeing that a lot of them have an LDC. Often it is county level LDC, but it's a idea of interest that I have brought forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that in addition to just having, you can do the micro enterprise under that. You can apply for the matching grants and things that we, and there's some benefits to using an LDC for site control.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially an IDA certainly can do that, but there's a lot of drawbacks on that I've learned over the years, just because everything we do has to have that. Are we creating jobs? Are we, even if it's just selling property and we're not doing the tax piece, you still have to really have that, where a local development corp is a little more loose on that. So, you know,
How do we incentivize our dead sites?
Right. And, you know, pulling grant funding through there, even as a pass-through organization, and there's so much of that. Even the county just passed something on housing in particular. And I think as a board, over the next couple months, we're going to look at housing and be ready in case we get an application for something like that. But, you know, there's different strategic sites in the town that we could consider getting, you know, acquiring, getting site control, just to pull it together and apply grant funding or whatever we need. And then, you know, even if, you know, there's a little bit of a loss there, at least the project now is something's going to go at that site, you know, and I think we certainly can play that role. So, you know, I think as we move forward, and one of the important reasons why I want to have all the other boards in the same room is to say, like, this is what an LDC could do. Town board's going to have to create it. Like, we need to get buy-in and all of that. And we certainly could fund that, you know, startup of that. It could be the same board even, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be a different board. It is another public authority, so, you know, but at the same time, you know, the LDC does not have as many requirements like project reporting and things, so it's a little bit lighter of a lift than an IDA.
So how do we do we need to put together a proposal or something for this, for the town board, or how does that?
I think eventually, yes. But I want to get the rebrand and the some of these other things going. But I would hope by the fall. I kind of feel like last year was a lost year in a way. Like, we kind of just ran in place for a lot of different reasons. So I'd like to, by the fall, be able to propose something. I don't know that we'll pull it off by the summer, but maybe. But I think we have to really have a write-up of some sort. Like, I'm going to have to bullet point, you know, why, and then what the, you know, legally how they do it. So.
But with an LDC, they're a separate entity, right? Are they typically the same as the IDA board? I didn't think so.
In some there's crossover, definitely. Most of the time, and I think the trend over the last 10 to 20 years is LDCs were kind of quiet, but now they're coming back because there is potential state funding and pass-through loans and different programs available. But, you know, it doesn't have to be, but the real issue becomes you all have to row in the same direction, right? And so if we're going to be funding it, I would at least want to see some joint or some sort of representation on the LDC board.
Do, you know, just thinking, like, in the time I've been here, we've only sort of had a project, or it's an extension of a project. And so while we're flush now, if we don't get new projects, we won't be flush forever.
This is why we need the marketing for
Right.
Vista and the other sites. Yeah.
Even the sales tax and the mortgage tax is a huge benefit. I don't think that a lot of folks, like when I saw the veterans housing that just got completed, I was like, why wouldn't they have asked? I mean, that's a nonprofit and we don't have a CRC, but like, these are the types of things that we could have had projects, but we don't have the tools. And if people are going to be doing housing, like nonprofit housing, you might need a CRC, even if it's just 1 or 2 deals that ever come about. You can't do it because the IDAs aren't allowed to do nonprofit. So, depending upon what it is, even some of the projects for the old ShopRite site, there's nonprofits looking at that. And so you really wouldn't be able to do anything for them without a CRC. But, I think it's.
Additionally, I think we have some really nice industry partners in Bethlehem, and they do not have a mechanism to pour back into the town. If there's an LDC, there is a mechanism for that, where they know that their funds would go directly to improving the town.
Yeah, an LDC can take charitable donations, we can take sponsorships. Like the IDA, really, that's not the right thing for it.
And the LDC is a better tool for helping out existing businesses.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
something that we lack.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And so, sorry, I'm not trying to be negative, but like, there's very little capacity now for the town to do economic development. So, and there's no funding. And we have a finite set of resources as an IDA. So, I imagine then the conversations are, where else does that funding come from? What are we, because even if you go after grants, it's matching,
Mhm.
at least 20% match, if not 50% match. So, in these conversations, we need to be talking about building capacity and not just looking at the IDA as an unlimited bank account. That's just, because we do only have, the goal is, if they're successful, we're successful, so we can pour money back in to be more successful, right? Like it's circular, circular. But, currently, we can't write a blank check, right?
Right.
So how does that work, and what is the town committing, and what else is, you can probably get some banks, you could get some other folks that would be willing to put some resources into it, but just thinking about that. Because, we have you, I don't even know if it's halftime or whatever, you had an LDC, trying to support those small businesses. It's more than a part-time job.
No, great points. What else? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Those were the major points
Yeah.
that, we talked about. And this IDA this year and probably next year are going to be extremely busy, because governance has a lot of work as well that they have to get through for a lot of different reasons. And, I think housing and how we view that and what we're going to put in the UTEP or not put in the UTEP. We're looking at doing the board training in May at this point. So I'm trying to not overwhelm, because there's so much work that's going on. But I think the single most important thing we can do is rebrand and get Vista going, and if we can do that by, tops the fall, I would consider that an accomplishment. And, I think potentially there are some projects that could come to fruition. But, and Dick Kotlow had said the same thing. He's like, you need to go find some.
Yeah.
And I think we will,
We need to.
but we need to be able to, market Vista and get somebody in there.
Do you belong to Syra?
I don't belong to it, but I've been invited to the meetings.
Because it might be worth doing I know
we have
I've given
before,
some,
yeah.
it might be worth, once the study's done, and as we talk about,
Yeah.
laying out, here's some of our sites, here's some of the programs, to them. Might be worth.
Because even at the board, when we pull the boards together, if I was a betting person, I would think that, do they even know you can get a mortgage tax? On a $6 million property, that's $65,000 in mortgage tax, and another $1 million and whatever in potential sales tax. What that can do for a project, and you can't build anything without it these days, because it's expensive. So
Do we need any actions for anything?
No, I think Brianne and I have committed to, moving these forward and, she's one person too, like to your point. So, we're gonna see what we can get done. But once I think we get past the EDC conference, and everybody's going, by the way, except for Dick, so that's
Awesome.
great. Good showing. Once we get past that, I think that's when we'll have a scope of work for the RFP, and that's when we'll push it out. And we're working on RFPs for different things too, services and whatnot. So it's going to be a busy month, probably April too. We didn't want to put too much more on the March agenda because it's going to be packed as it is with the audit and everything else. So
If we're already talking about doing an event in May at Normanside, do we want to try to coordinate that with doing our training?
we could, but I think it might be too much in
Too
one
much.
day. Yeah. Governance meets tomorrow, so let me see what Victor's thinking. But when we spoke on the phone, we were looking at mid-May for that. And we were thinking about just doing it here, if we can. So, all right, anything else?
I mean, the last thing is for more than this committee, and I'll share it at the next meeting too, but I am redoing sort of my BRE, my business retention and expansion strategy, and re-engaging with a number of our larger businesses around Bethlehem to do visits. And we've often invited a representative or two from the IDA to be part of those visits when we go to those locations. So keep you guys informed when those pop up.
Yeah, it was really cool to go to the PSEG, right, and see what they have.
Right, because it'd be Air Products, PSEG, Owens Corning, SABIC, CSX, maybe some folks down in the Bethlehem Industrial Park. So plug, which I think we've all been over there. New leadership, so.
And one thing too, that Victoria, I think, articulated well during our meeting, and it goes to your point on capacity, we had tossed around the idea of either contracting with consulting to help with some of it, or potentially a part-time person just to backfill Brianne with some of the more administrative tasks, That's why I said to you the other day, I'm like,
Don't do that.
yeah, let Melissa do we'll send her the content, but you don't need to so you got bigger things to worry about than to draft a newsletter,
Yeah.
But I think that we certainly at a very low cost could backfill that for at least a small period of time when we're trying to get a lot of this off the ground. But I think with the marketing firm, they will give design and all of it, and redo the website and all of that. But we're all going to need to give that content and input and all that. So that's where the work really
Content's
comes
the
in.
hard part.
Yeah. And Vista probably is a little bit of a lift too, just because they're going to need very specific information about that. And so that's going to be a lot of work just by itself.
The CRM is going to be a lot of work to populate.
Well, that's why we were saying if we could backfill someone, even if it's an independent contractor, just to pick up some of the admin work for Brianne, that'll free her up to do that. And Victoria and I did commit to, being part of, all the marketing discussions and everything to get people what they need and to have, to be the connection between the committee and whoever you hire. But what I hope is that if we send out RFPs, it's going to come here first, and you all would kind of be the major decision makers on who you want, and then we would just present to the board, here's what we think, and everybody's got to vote to award a contract, so.
Did you have the RFP response that CART did for the last?
For the study, the cost benefit
Yes,
analysis?
we could take a look at that before.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah, I can send that to you.
That would be helpful, just so I can go in with some background.
Yeah, I mean, right now, annually, we would have 125,000 fees from GB2, which is the PSEG. But right now, that's really it.
Right.
Like, just trying to think about, where some of the expansion is, or, like, so I live in Glenmont, right? So they just expanded the plaza there. Like, why are those projects not coming here? Are there, like, the properties across from, the Walmart between the,
Well, my
Right,
guess
that
is they can't meet the but for.
Right.
yeah,
I mean, they're commercial developers that,
Have
You know,
resources.
yeah, I mean, sure, would they want the subsidy, if they
Yeah.
could get it? Yeah, but you have to be able
They
to
can't
meet that
show it.
test.
yeah.
And, even the housing projects that have been built, um, haven't been able to, meet that. And that's why I think once we have a strategy and also sort of this, what's a good project for us? Like, what do we like? Like, who
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah,
That, you like Peacock, for instance, that's a tough one. And you're going to get to the but for on that one
Yeah.
just because of the cost, the actual cost, and because it's been sitting there that long. So you can justify, obviously, for something like that, they're not going to build it. We're not going to have this thing taken care of unless we do it. But yeah, I mean, we're a wealthier zip code, and it's very different. But I think there's a lot of other opportunity to have that investment, but it's probably going to be more on the, not doing a project side because they can't meet that.
right.
I could see housing, if that's something that we feel we need in the town, then, the incentive to build that would make sense. But
Really, housing and industrial. Commercial, they just pass the cost on to the tenant.
Mhm.
So you kind of charge what you want when you got national retailers.
Yeah.
And they're gonna pay, triple net. Care.
yeah, and I mean, if you're going to try to attract a business even to Vista or what have you, they're going to, even over there, depending upon what it is, because it's all going to be new build, then I think there's probably a project or two left at Vista. And the rest of it's solely within Bethlehem town boundaries. So we would, wind up getting
Yes,
that.
not the county.
How many pieces of property are over there that are available?
There are 4 to 6, but because they're adjacent,
Yeah.
they can
They can be
come together.
merged-ish,
Yeah.
Okay.
And is any of it proposed for housing?
Yes.
Stuff that's on 85?
Yes, like,
You really do need the projector.
like this little spot here is
Brown spot.
proposed
Keeps
for
it-
housing, like on the inside of this, so like around the traffic circle, sort of across from
Yeah.
Market 32 is the area proposed for housing.
So there's
And
like
then there's a spot outside of the master plan right next to that, where the idea was that would be a hotel. And then the front end, which is mostly all built out, but still has 13,000 square feet that could be expanded upon as secondary services. So restaurants, retail, childcare. Then there's all the remaining spots back here,
See
which
what
are
I
all industrial, light industrial.
See, with that, and that's probably like when Brienne showed me that a couple months ago, I'm like, I didn't even know that. Like,
Yeah.
so what you do is, and I just thought up immediately, like if we said, gee, it'd be great to have that hotel there,
Mhm.
who are we gonna call?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
who are we gonna talk
Right.
to?
Right,
That
if we
you
don't
have
even
to-
know,
It
people
has,
who build that don't know.
yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, that's the thing, I can think of a handful of developers that you could at least have a meeting with saying, hey, look at this and, what are you interested?
Here's a market
And it's
for
going
that,
to
too.
take,
Mhm.
it's still Albany, it's going to take that knocking on the door
Mhm.
versus, marketing's going to help, absolutely. But there's only, certain folks too that might be their niche. Other people build shopping centers or whatever the case may be. But I think the single most important initiative of the city in the next decade is that Harriman campus. And this reminds me a little bit of that, in that originally it was supposed to be for tech, but it had some other elements. And to create that density there and potentially have that really good mixed use, that's a huge opportunity.
And
Um,
outside of Vista, but related, is all of this pink and,
Yeah.
brown area. And most of that is not developed to what it's designed for yet, because it's designed to be more dense hamlet style, mixed use.
And that's all, this land on 85?
Yeah, between 85 and New Scotland.
But not-
So you're talking about the Peacock parcel, and then also in between
Windsor,
Windsor has all that. Windsor's been waiting for the zoning update so they can achieve the density that we want and that they want to build in that area. So then you have workforce, then you have housing, then you have supportive services, then you have people to patronize the supportive services, so it's like something's got to start it.
It's zoning. People need to know Bethlehem's open for business.
Yeah.
And right now, it's not.
Well, even the Peacock project, I had another conversation with the original Mark Pigwin, who was under and they are still interested, but he's like, I gotta wait, and they've been waiting for that. There's a wetlands issue, but he knows, and we all know that if that does come online, Windsor's across the street with the hamlet and across, 85. And so, there's so much connected to that. But one of the reasons why I asked him to grab coffee was, I'm like, please stay interested in this site, because that was the best proposal we'd had so far. And it's going to turn the lights on for activate other sites.
Then you have sort of the two vacant medical buildings
Yeah.
across
They
from the
can have
Peacock parcel. One is completely vacant,
They're,
and the other
they're
one
writing them
looks
off.
like
They're writing them off. It's like
Wait,
a
which
huge.
ones are you talking
where Delmar Pediatrics is down New Scotland. So there's the building with Delmar Pediatrics and an ophthalmologist office,
Yeah.
but it's 3 stories. It's like a third full right now, and the other building is completely vacant because it was St. Peter's, and then they're not going to pay for commercial when they have a hospital campus,
Yeah.
right? It's not cost effective for them to do
The
that.
housing that's next to them, is that single family or multifamily?
It's single family,
Down the hill.
The
but
one
yeah.
in the back. And the multifamily closer to the Price Chopper,
The hamlet.
they do really well.
Mhm.
Yep. Occupancy is
Yep.
pretty good there.
Occupancy's good.
The new bagel place there is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like all of that is really ready, and it needs the zoning and it needs awareness. And those two things happen, and we will have projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even if it's just sales and mortgage tax, you still get, that's a huge.
I'll be leaving the EDC meeting early to go pitch my need. My butt.
In the city, Albany?
Yeah.
I mean, something that I think will be really attractive about this, so when we get the word out about it, is that because it has this master plan and GEIS is done and it's shovel ready, it's also not subject to additional DEC wetlands.
That was going to be my.
It's all determined, it's ready. We don't have, that doesn't come into it for the new build there.
I just did a constituent survey for the state, and that was, they're like, is there anything else you'd like us to focus on? And I'm like, DEC wetlands, like I put that in every single one that I just did, because that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
But I also think, definitely, the IDA or whatever, I think even if you just did, not go overboard with it, but if you did like some visuals for it, not renderings, just visuals of what it could look like. Developers aren't the most creative people, unless it's in Excel. But I do think that giving some kind of context to the land, because right now you showed me that, I don't know what the topography is. It's kind of hard to see it all.
That's also like what I envision with this sort of like marketing materials.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a flat map from a broker that's like, these businesses are nearby. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something meatier, and also that really has the infrastructure information available. Because there's infrastructure there that's not a lot of places.
Good infrastructure.
There's water, there's sewer, there's
That's all support fiber.
everything is there. And there's also a plan for an additional, sorry, I just forgot the word. National Grid has to put in another substation.
Yeah.
And they were going to do it and they postponed it because we haven't had another project. So they didn't need to do it just for plug, but it's in their pipeline to put it in.
Tell them to put it in because it takes forever.
I know.
Gonna say.
I know.
Well, the pieces at the port took us, I think, over a year to get the pieces for our substation. We're only just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I have to run.
I wanted to just give you something before you go, just take that.
Yeah, this is all good stuff. It's exciting. I think the more we can get that messaging that Bethlehem's open for business.
Yeah. That's the big one.
And it starts with all the things that we're talking about here.
Do we have another meeting on the calendar? I think we set one up.
I think so.
Yeah. There's one more right now.
But the good news is, we have some really good organic marketing happening on our own, like organic media. I don't know if y'all saw, but Business Review said that, is Selkirk in the town?
Yeah.
So Selkirk and Slingerlands are top 5, top 10 neighborhoods in the capital region in the Business Review. So there's constantly good organic media that I think needs to be repackaged and recirculated from someone in the town.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other part. Like, it's all out there.
We pull from CEG the top rankings, and we put them on our website a lot, like, top 20 places for college kids or, workforce, and they collect all of that.
So there's a lot of good stuff out there that I just think on the town that I think naturally people are just going to be gravitating towards, but once they know they can come here, do business, invest, develop, whatever it's going to be, this is going to be a busy team here. And so I do think that, once the marketing and the website comes together, some of these parcel conversations I think are kind of figure themselves out.
I have to throw in here, my kids would be astonished if I did the Trader Joe's. It's totally changed that whole part of town. It's wonderful. That's going to be a huge thing too.
Yeah.
50 jobs too. They made 50 jobs.
Yeah.
Jobs.
They just need to make that area a little bit more walkable.
Yeah.
The sidewalks are planned from Haswell Farms
Okay.
to connect that whole area down
Nice.
Furbush.
Yeah, it's
That's nice.
walking through the cemetery right now. It's not-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chat with you about that.
Yeah.
All
All right, do we need
a
a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
A second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Adjourned
See you
at,
guys.
9:30.
So when is our next meeting?
All right, later.
Bye.
Looking for it. I didn't have an
Be in
easy way to
March?
search it.
I want to say we did it in March.
I have March 25th, but
Perfect.
Kate, I think you put it in as 2027, so it's not coming up before.
Sounds
But
like
that
me.
must have been what we decided.